for giving me this opportunity to have this interview with me. I have learned English from JR for almost 30 classes, I suppose. The first time we met each other was in an online class, and now I'm still studying English on his personal class. What I want to explore in today's interview is about Filipino English teacher, his impression uh, about Chinese students' English learning, include advantages and weakness, his tips for them, and so on. Okay, let's get started, JR.
Okay.
My first question is, JR, could you make a brief introduction about your English teaching career?
Okay. So thank you very much for this opportunity, Will, as well.
Mhm.
Yes, I've been teaching English for almost 6 years now. I started teaching, I think 20. I can't vividly remember. I think it 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, like almost 6 years now. This coming next year.
Mhm.
Yeah, I worked in a what you call this in a classroom as a volunteer teacher as well, and I worked with Akaso for two
Mhm.
years during 2019 and 2020.
Okay. Okay, thanks. And the second question is, do you still remember the first class? Did you feel nervous in your first class?
I think the first class I ever had was I was teaching a class like there are at least 14 students. Of
Mhm.
course, everyone who has first experience of something, they always feel that feeling of nervousness, or they will feel a little nervous, or sometimes they are really, really prepared, but you could still feel the nervousness. And by the time I started teaching foreign student, I was a little bit more nervous than usual because I don't know the cultural background in China, or let's say we have different culture, and at the same time I don't know what to expect
Mhm.
for Chinese students. So it was the first time, even though I already met some Chinese people while visiting Taiwan. I
Mhm.
know it's a lot different than just casually hanging out with Chinese people and actually teaching them
Mhm.
something important. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand. I still remember when the first time I attended EXOC class, I even as a student, I'm very nervous about that. And I remember maybe I delayed one time. Yeah, I mean, just maybe tonight I will have this class, but I feel so nervous, so I delayed the next evening. Yeah,
Oh.
so I can understand. Yeah. Okay, the third question is, what's your impression about your Chinese students? I know you have taught Chinese students from kids to adults.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Um, I have met, I think, like hundreds of students because you don't get to choose who you are going to teach. The student
Hmm.
will choose you to teach them. So
Yeah.
in day-to-day basis, you will have different students, different attitudes, different learning methods, or maybe skills or skill set. Especially if you're teaching a kid or a student, and then all of a sudden the next class you will be teaching a professional
Hmm.
student, meaning an adult. So my impression is, I think that the culture of Filipino culture and Chinese culture is not that far apart. Well, there are some differences, but there
Hmm.
are lots of similarities as well. And I think I've noticed that Chinese students are actually very, very serious when it comes to learning,
Hmm.
because especially if they are taught by their parents, like, hey, you need to learn this. This will help you in the future. So the kids will actually take it seriously. Some kids, they just still don't understand. They don't understand what they're doing, and that's
Hmm.
okay. But I think as the ages gets higher, or let's say as they grow up, or as you
Hmm.
meet an older student, you will realize that the older the student is, the more mature they are, and the more serious they get on studying not just English but also communication skills.
Yes. Okay. So, your impression about Chinese students is they are very serious.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
and also
yeah.
they like to have fun. Of course, you need to balance being serious and also having fun at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's all just fun, the student will forget the essence of
Mm-hmm.
learning. Of course, the essence of learning is learning and having fun. But if
Yeah.
it's all just having fun, the student will forget what is the purpose of him or her learning experience or learning time during class. So maybe they will get distracted or so.
Yeah. 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 Okay. The fourth question is, what's your suggestions for Chinese students to improve their English level?
So yeah, I think this is one of the things that has a huge misconception with school, especially school or
Yeah.
even ESL industry. I think the students or some parents always thought that the teachers will teach everything to their students or to the kids or to the students, as I said. No, that's not how it works. The school is a program wherein, in my impression, this is not a general, thing in the Philippines. In my impression, is
Mhm.
that at school you will learn how to learn.
Yeah.
They will teach
How to
you.
learn. Hmm.
You will learn how to read. You will learn how to do mathematics and even speak to people or make a common sense or how do you say this? You make a decision on your own,
Hmm.
how to decide to be mature. At school, like I said, there was a misconception that everything will be taught to the kids during class. No, that's not how it works. The teachers were only there to supervise and teach kids that okay, this is how you do it, and then do it in the other equation, like in math.
Hmm.
So it is more on they are learning how to learn at school. So that's one thing I would like to suggest to students that when you are in a class or any kind of learning atmosphere or learning learning atmosphere like school or classes or meetings and trainings,
Hmm.
you will have to understand that you are there to learn how to do things, not
Hmm.
everything will be put into your mouth, right? You
Hmm.
will
Yeah.
learn it on your own because that's not how it works. That's not how the world works. When you become an adult, you have to learn how to do it on your own, which is the good thing about school.
Yes. Okay. So, your main tip is just you should know how to learn
Hmm.
in your studying, and
Yeah.
yeah, in the process of learning, the main thing you should learn is just how to learn by
Yes, yes.
yourself. Yeah.
Because if you will be able to establish that kind of foundation of
Hmm.
learning, you can learn anything you want to learn. You will develop your own study ethics, your
Hmm.
pattern, and then learning pattern.
Yeah.
Because you're older, you're more mature, you know yourself,
Hmm.
which part you don't know and you already know. So
Okay.
there's that.
Yes. That's this tip I think is also very helpful for me. Although I'm an adult, but I
Yes,
think
yes.
it's helpful for me. Yeah. Okay. And let's go to the next question. Nowadays, a controversial topic in China goes viral. Some people think Chinese parents and students spend too much time on English learning. Well, in their future career, they may not use English as much as Chinese or math. So some educational experts suggest Chinese educational system should minus the way of English teaching, not only the time in the school, but also the way of English testing in China national examination. So what's your ideas about this topic? Do you think English is so important for Chinese students?
I think one of the examples I can share is I remember when I was in grade school,
Mm,
our school was not into when I was in grade school, computer devices or computer sets,
yeah.
computers are not existed or haven't existed here in the province, or let's say
Hmm.
teaching computer studies, basic studies are not implemented in this school or in this province. I could say that they are not like okay, it's not important to teach kids about computer because it's okay. We don't have the tools. We don't need,
Yeah.
or maybe they will not be computer science a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say they will not be computer technician. Why do we still need to teach them computer science or basic computer skills? The thing is, even though English is what we call the universal language, because many countries are using it with their books, content, YouTube channels,
Mm-hmm.
social media, or even products. Almost products are in English. It's not that English is conquering the world, but it is a medium or a way for all of us to be able to communicate.
Yes.
To the communication skills, we may not see how important it is now, but in the future, the system of education will improve. The the system of technology or the technology itself will improve. So we need to catch up with the advancement of the world, not
Mm-hmm.
just learning English, but we will learn the language of English so that if there is something new with the technology or system,
Mm-hmm.
we will be able to at least understand or teach the future generation what we know now.
Yes. Yeah.
And it will save lots of financial problems with parents or with the future generation. Why? If the parents now, if some of Chinese parents will learn, or let's say the young generation now will learn English, of course there are some parts that they will forget, but at least in the beginning or some parts of their learning, the parents will be able to guide their kids
Yes. Yeah.
by decreasing the amount of money that they will use in teaching them how to learn English. So yeah, this is a very very huge topic. This question is very very important these days. But again, I think I would suggest if the parents can afford their
Mm-hmm.
children to get educated, um, yes, get any kind of education you can have. This is like the pursuit of life. Get the best education you can have,
Mm-hmm.
or continuous learning, because as human beings we need to improve. There's always room for improvement. That's why monkeys are monkeys, right? Monkeys do not grow like
Mm-hmm.
monkeys, or animals do not improve
Uh-huh.
because they don't have the opportunity to learn. But as you see, if animals are trained, they are being taught, they're disciplined, even though they don't need it. Dogs do not need to learn how to count, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they still have to learn it in some ways. It makes them more special. How
Yeah.
much more to us people? uh, the level of education we attain will increase our value,
Mm-hmm.
our work opportunity, and the best of all, it will enhance the capability of us building a stronger and smarter household. Our
Yeah.
children will become smarter. They will
Yeah.
become learned.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I can imagine if I can't speak English, I don't have the opportunity to know you and other foreigners. But I think if I can master English, it's like open a window for me. I can, from to using English is like using a key to open a gate, and from this gate, I can know the outside and know the other side of the road. So it's very important for me and
Yes.
know much more people, know their culture. So it's very important.
Just another addition
Hmm.
for that thought. Imagine, like, we don't know what future holds, right? That's what people always, future is the mystery, right?
Uh-huh.
But
Mystery. Yeah.
today is a gift. So we
Hmm.
need to treat it like a gift, like
Yeah.
something special.
Hmm.
So we may not know what will happen in the future, but we need to be prepared for the future. For
Yes. Yeah.
example, you will get an invitation, I don't know, to go or study in a school, or
Abroad.
let's say,
Uh-huh.
or yeah, abroad, or let's say, there will be an employment, because I don't know what will happen in the
Mm.
future, right? We may
Yes.
not know what kind of job opportunities will be offered to you will in the
Hmm.
future. Maybe a Canadian company will discover you. I don't know. The future is a mystery, like I said. So
Yes.
we need to better prepare ourselves for that. Even though it may seem impossible, it's better to be
To
prepared
prepared.
than
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if that happens, what if that happens? Let's say other things happen, and then your skills are not enough for that opportunity that will, let's say, that will come to you in the future. Of course, you will not be able to at least qualify to that opportunity because you're not prepared.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Let's move to next question.
Sure.
Question 6. Some Chinese students complain that they need English environment to practice English, but their parents and friends don't speak English at all. Do you think English environment is really very important to improve English level? How to set up environment for by themselves?
So let me share you this experience of mine. Both of my parents cannot speak English very well. I was the only person who was able to study in a international school, at the same time who was able to take an English examination, or let's say English proficiency exams. I think I took two Michigan school two Michigan exams, which
Hmm.
both I got an let's say excellent grade, not perfect,
Hmm.
uh, excellent grade, and also an advanced grade or advanced English grade in a ACTLF. It's an institute of education where they test your English proficiency. So I think even though my parents weren't able to teach me English, they were able to provide me the education that I need, or the support that I need to learn how to speak English. And it starts within you. It's like you cannot blame your environment for your failure,
Hmm.
right? You
Yeah.
cannot complain that it's too cold outside if you're not wearing jacket.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
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 So
Makes
same
sense.
same same with English.
Mm.
I know it will be very very difficult to learn English, especially if you don't have the environment, the perfect environment to teach you how to speak English. There are many ways. Watching movies. I know it's been thought for many years, but it is still effective. Reading magazines, English magazines, or maybe let's say comic books,
Hmm.
or stories. There are
Yes.
conversations in there, and then imagine in your mind that you are the character. How would you react? How would you say it? Constant practice. If you will always, if your mindset is always set on the environment is affecting you, you're not gonna get too far. It's life. That's the reality of life. You cannot blame your boss that your job
Hmm.
is too hard.
Hmm.
You need to take it. You need to swallow.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
need to accept the challenge. Even though you will get tired, that's okay. Get some rest. Tomorrow you wake up, do it again.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yes. And next question. Um, do you have some suggestions to Chinese parents? They have a very high expectation for their children. Do you approve of their accompanying when their kids are in your online class?
Oh, of course. But it still depends on. Of course, parents are very busy. I understand that they have to
Uh-huh.
provide for their family, their insurance, their housing. Especially housing is very expensive everywhere nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they still have to pay for the car, or the needs or education of their kids. I understand that, but if they have at least 30 minutes to sit down
Mm-hmm.
during classes with their kids, if they are still very young, I don't suggest this with adults, because when their kids are older, or let's say if you have a college student or a high school student, you don't need to really, you know, be there. next to them
Mhm.
when they're learning, or watch over them during class because they're already old enough to understand what is
Yeah.
good and what is
Mhm.
bad. They already have
Mhm.
their common sense. But if they're very young, and for example, I'm a Chinese parent
Mhm.
and I don't know how to speak English, it will be a good learning opportunity for me to learn basic English with my kid by just
Yes.
listening. So
Listening. Yeah.
imagine you're buying one class and both of you are learning.
Uh-huh.
About the first part of the question, the expectation, you need to set a realistic expectation. First, expect that your kid will excel, will learn, will improve, but also put it in a way that it will meet the skills of your children, or your kids. How do I say that, or why do I say that? It is sometimes we have so much, or we just have a very very high expectation with our kids that they fail to achieve it,
Mhm.
and then you feel disappointed and angry. That's the bad part. If your kids are not able to fulfill
Mhm.
or reach that potential, or let's say expectation,
Mhm.
you need to continue to support your children.
Okay.
Don't be angry with them. Of course you'll be frustrated, but remember your children, or these kids, are
Mhm.
in the learning process.
Yes.
Like us when we walk, right?
Yes.
When we learn how to walk,
Book. Yes.
we stumble.
Mhm.
Even adults stumbles.
Yes.
So how much more for kids? How much more for children? We need to set a realistic expectation with, of course, I am not saying that we need to be ready to be disappointed, but we just we should know how to handle disappointment.
Mhm.
If you're disappointed, ask yourself, what can I do to help my children meet that expectation, rather than, hey, you're not good, you weren't able to meet my expectation. That is
Mhm.
the toxic part, or the bad part of learning, or
Okay.
expectation. It's good to have expectation. Expectations are good if they are realistic, but if they're not,
Realistic.
it's not it's not healthy.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And let's move to next question. Question 8. Do you have some English learning tools or resources to recommend?
I think China has lots of books, companies, even books you can buy in libraries.
Uh-huh.
If it's approved, if there it has a seal of English learning, and it is approved by the Chinese government,
Hmm.
and I will approve it. I think
Okay.
l- books that are what you call published, or let's say approved by your country, will be effective for everyone. It is
Hmm.
just like I said, at school a student will learn how to learn when he learns something, when
Yes.
he reads something. So it all comes down to that. If a person is given a book and he doesn't know how to use it,
Hmm.
it it's not gonna do any good to the person, right? So if
Yes.
the person knows how to open it and read it and learn how to learn from it, then it will be beneficial for that person because he know how a book works. It's not just by opening it. It's about learning it step by step until you
Okay.
understand it. Learning is
Okay.
not a race. It never was. Never was. For some it is because they have to hurry because they're getting old. Or maybe
Okay.
they need to catch up with their deadlines. But continuous learning is an endless process.
Okay. Okay. So we should take advantage of the libraries, books,
Any
and
type of English material, PDFs,
okay.
ebooks,
Okay.
storybooks, movies,
Uh-huh.
audio materials, and even face to face classes, or even just practicing using cards,
Hmm.
opening the dictionary. I know this sounds very, very old fashioned. It sounds very old fashioned, right?
Yes.
but it still
Dictionaries.
works.
Yeah.
It still works.
Okay.
Even for me, for example, I have some friends or even myself, if I'm not familiar with the word because sometimes I forget it, I'll check
Mhm.
the meaning in the dictionary. Even people, let's make a comparison or let's analogy like or let's say like similarity with math. Even bankers or people who are working in a bank, they are still using calculators,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
But they are accountants. They graduated using math every day, math equations or let's say accounting equations as well. But they still use calculators. Doctors still read books even though they are already smart. They still consult with their nurses, with their assistant doctors. I don't know what it is called. They still have to learn from others
Mhm.
because how that's how they learned how to approach learning and application of what you have learned.
Yes.
So that's my thought about it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And question 9. How to sign up for your personal class?
Yeah,
What
actually,
can we learn? Okay.
um I have here, I will share it with you in the message box, I think. This is my WeChat ID,
Okay. Let me open it.
but it's not showing up all of a sudden.
Okay.
Wait a moment.
Okay.
Um, my I'll just send it to you maybe, I guess. Actually, I was preparing for this earlier. Oh, there you go. I'll just send it to you. This is my WeChat ID. I don't know if it's the same with Chinese accounts, but this is what I have. This is my WeChat ID.
Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Thank you. And how can we learn from your class?
Um, I think one of the things I can guarantee is that it is. I'm not saying that I'm better with other teachers, but I because I know there are other teachers out there who are better than me, who are a lot,
Mhm.
smarter than me, let's say, or has more teaching skills than I do because they've been teaching for years or maybe
Mhm.
centuries or decades. But what I can share is that, or what I can tell you is that if you want to have a class that is not very, you know, let's say, does not gives your kids so much pressure
Mhm.
during class, or you have an environment wherein you're able to create, you're allowed to make mistakes,
Mhm.
that it is not so serious. I can create that kind of environment because I don't think that a person should be very, very serious
Mhm.
during class
Yeah.
because our mind doesn't
So,
work like that. When we are happy, we tend to remember that.
yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
we call happy memories.
Mhm.
Right? Like for example, there are bad memories or experiences we can remember, but
Mhm.
some of them we don't. But we always remember that which is good, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
with learning class with me, let's say with my personal class, I could say that you can learn from the books that I have, and also if you have books, I can adapt
Mhm.
with that learning process, or let's say I will change my books or let's say my teaching method depends on what you have and what you
Mhm.
want to learn.
Want. Okay.
And
I
again,
mhm.
I will only
Okay. Please.
teach you how to learn,
Mhm.
how to say it, how to learn, how to learn English, but I cannot teach you after class
Okay.
because once the class ends, you're on your own, right? Like at
Mhm.
school, when you finish, when you graduate from college, you're on your own, right?
Yes.
You have to learn how to go to a job interview. You have to learn to keep track of your monthly bills. You have to learn that you need to go to the doctor every 3 to 6 months to get a health checkup. If you don't learn these things, no one will teach you this, but you will learn this on your own. Same with
Hmm.
English. You learn those things from school, you take it with you, put it in your bag or in your pocket, and then do it outside the school, outside the classroom. And I promise you that you will be the smartest person that you will know.
Okay. Okay. Can I ask how much is it for per class?
As of today, it will be 35 RMB. Is that how you call it?
Yes,
RMB
renminbi.
yuan yuan
Yes, yuan. Yeah,
35 yuan for
35, 30, 35.
three
Right.
five 35
Okay.
RMB per
Mm,
hour.
per hour. Okay.
Yeah, of class. In the recent days, they increased
Hmm.
the class uh, you get the class rates or the payments, but I decided that I will still keep that, that range of price range, because
Hmm.
with the inflation, I know I need to pay my bills and stuff, but I know learning should still be at least affordable
Hmm.
for some. And
Yeah.
also they will have the realistic,
Hmm.
realistic expectation, because
Yeah.
this is how much they're paying. Of course, that's how much you get. Of course, more, you can get more, right?
Uh-huh.
But because if it's like when you pay for private schools, of course you will pay much more. But if you're only paying this, of course, this is how much I can go, like that.
Okay. Okay.
But I will
And
still do my
uh-huh.
best, of course.
Okay. And we can book the time, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
you can book a specific time. Mostly I'm available during the evening, but I'm also available during the afternoon during weekdays until Saturday.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. And the last question, and my last question is very important. If my friends who are watching this video want to sign up for your class, oh, you said we can contact you by the WeChat, right?
Yes. Yeah, through
Okay.
WeChat account. And the
Okay, through WeChat.
payment uh, method will be using PayPal.
Okay, PayPal.
I don't know if it's common
It's not
in.
common, but I think every Chinese can sign up for
Yes.
this yeah payment way.
Yeah,
PayPal. Yeah.
yeah, PayPal account, PayPal.
PAL.
You can
Yes.
search it in Apple Store and even
Yeah.
App Store in Google. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Everyone can sign up using their emails, right? Their emails.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yes. Okay, that's all. That's all
yeah.
my questions.
Thank you
I'm
very much, Will.
so appreciated
Yeah,
for attending this interview.
yeah. This is it's my pleasure to have this interview. I don't get interviewed a lot by my student, but of course I'm okay if they will ask me. Of course, it's if there are some questions about um not non-related questions about ESL, I would be happy to share mine. But of course, the conclusion of this interview is that
Uh-huh.
this is my opinion, and this is
Okay.
also your opinion.
Yes, I know.
I know this might be different for other people, and I respect that. And I hope that people will respect my opinion as well, because this is my how I grew up. I know it will be
Yes.
different for some people out there, but I know we can still be connected even though we are different. So yeah.
Okay.
So that's my thoughts for this interview. And thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, JR.